Here today, the Tobi Johnson, friend, colleague, mentor, extraordinary thought leader, and person in the field. And so, what would be some of your Tuesday tips?
Start changing the mood. When we talk mindset, you mentioned mindset. Just start asking the question of everybody, how can we make volunteering more joyful here?
Hmm.
Even if you're working in sexual assault and domestic violence, you know
Yeah,
what? The
yeah,
joy is people are getting out of danger. That
right,
is the joy.
right,
The
yeah,
joy of that work is that people have someone that they can trust in a very untrusting kind of headspace that they're in. The joy is that the community comes together and says, this is no longer a secret.
hmm,
The joy is, so just asking that simple question, how can we make volunteering more joyful here, more
right,
meaningful, more joyful, more fun?
hmm,
There's a lot, I've worked in a lot of like high trauma
right,
nonprofits in my day in direct service of people who've been through, the ringer in their lives. Like people who are on the street. I remember doing intakes with our young people on this coming up off the street and they go, in San Francisco, this is not a nice city. I go, this is absolutely not a nice city. This is a hard city. It
yeah,
looks like a toy city. It is not a toy city.
yeah. It
There
can be
is,
hardcore.
we always had to have some joy and some, we had to have some support, some camaraderie, or nobody would have been able to continue that work because it was
Yeah,
so.
compassion fatigue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Secondary PTSD. So we'd
hmm,
work with our volunteers. We talk to them about what is secondary PTSD, what are the boundaries that you have to set, but also how can we have more joy in volunteerism? I think we're missing. There is a joy deficit in the world, and there should not be a joy deficit in volunteerism.
right, right.
One of the last places non-monetized in the
Yes,
world. It is a place
exactly.
we are hardwired to help one another. This is part of our DNA. We know that it's great for our mental health. We know, so how can we make it even greater joyful exercise, but also something that supports our personal wellness? So it's a place of respite. It's a place of community. When you start to see volunteerism like that and you start to design for that, you attract people.
Right.
People just come to you because they're like, oh, yeah, I want some of that. Get me some of that. I want
Yeah.
that. Put that on my calendar. Yeah, I can move some things off my calendar. Oh, I could take a day off work. I mean, when I started Master Gardener volunteering 10 years ago, I was running a busy business. I actually took time. I started taking Mondays off to do my training. And I just said, you know what? I'm just not going to work those days and I'll have to work on the weekends or I'll have to do this or that. But I want to be a Master Gardener volunteer and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so people make time for things that they really want.
Yeah. People, that question that gets asked at every conference all the time over all the decades is, why do people volunteer? And one of the best answers was because they want to. Something about what you're doing makes people want to volunteer with you. And whatever technology, AI, applied statistics, VMS, whatever other tech is happening, the number one recruitment tool, and you mentioned it earlier in our priceless advice conversation, is word of mouth. Having a meaningful, good, interesting, sometimes fun experience. It doesn't mean it's not without challenge. It can be a heavy thing like, a crisis line or whatever, but you can still create a positive culture around that stuff in order to be able to do the work. Awesome. I love those tips. Thank you so much, Tobi.